Benji, we need to talk about, it's funny to me because they always announce it in November, 2 years in a row, their Tour de France squad. Jumbo-Visma, and both years they announced it, and then Dumoulin, no, they announced it like 3 days before Dumoulin took a career break this year, right? And we're like, weird comms choices there. They just announced their actual Tour de France squad now 6 weeks, whatever, before the Tour. Jonas Vingegaard is in the Tour de France squad, to the surprise of Benji and me. Zero, that's not English, but I'm pretty sure Benji and I said, we probably said in the Vuelta last year on Angleroo, we were like, we'll see you, young Danish, pale, sober Macaulay Culkin in Paris next year. So we're not surprised at all. But the question I want to ask you, Benji, is he there for GC himself as a threat because they're worried about Van Aert? Is he there pure domestique for Roglic?
I think that Jumbo is in the perfect position to have now 4 riders. Am I correct in that? First of all, Roglic with the climbing and the time trial, obviously. You've got Kruijswijk with climbing and time trial.
Nah, Kruijswijk's not there for GC. Cut that out.
Okay. We've got a hater, people. Vingegaard with climbing and time trial capabilities. We've got Van Aert with climbing and time trial capabilities. We have Kaz with climbing and perhaps time trial capabilities if today gets extrapolated throughout all the time trials from here forward. I think that they're in a position where they can play out so many people, and it's going to be interesting to see how their hierarchy is going to be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can have too many in that aspect, because on paper, Roglic will always be the all-out leader if things go south. The problem is, let's say that Roglic goes south and that the other 3 have to decide who is the leader of the 3. Then I don't know what to do.
As long as the hierarchy is fine, it's fine. Then there won't be problems. Like we saw in Catalonia when there were attacks on stage 4 to Portenay and Carapaz pulls off, there's still 2Ks to the finish. Port goes to the front. He's able to ride his own pace because the attacks from Enric Mas, not particularly strong, not worried about Chavez. But eventually, even if a guy's up there on GC, someone will have to pace to their own detriment and possibly lose time on GC. There will come a scenario where they'll have to sacrifice themselves. You can protect 2, but protecting 3 and 4, it's not possible. Eventually, like Robert Hessing can't close every attack for Jonas Vingegaard, Wout van Aert, Roglic, Kruijswijk and Kuss. That's why Kruijswijk will be domestique. They've got the stage 5 TT from memory, Benji. There's no big mountain stages before. I think Jonas TT is good. I think it's more than solid enough to be up there. He'll get beaten by Thomas, probably by Port, but I wouldn't bet my life on it either.
I'd bet my life on it. No, I wouldn't. Oh, God. You're right. It would be very close. Damn. Yeah. Continue onwards.
Benji nearly lost his life. 26.5 days, that TT. It's got some climbing in it. Let me see how much altitude gain. 296 meters, so not pancake flat by any stretch. Yeah, they'll be close with Port. But the point is, Vingegaard might even be ahead of Port after Bretagne, possibly. He's perfect. And do you think this allows them, and as a Belgian Benji, do you think they should then let Wout go for green and not focus on GC because they have this second option of Jonas?
I believe that if a Belgian is within reach of the yellow jersey, you choose the yellow jersey.
Yeah.
I think overall, we said in January that if Wout van Aert can podium Tirreno, we have to think about the possibilities that he can survive the last week of the Tour de France without losing 5 minutes. I'm expecting him to get into yellow in the first week. You said it last year already that he might do that the day that they announced the parcours. And I think that, that was a crazy prediction because it's likely going to happen. I think we know the feeling. He has a possibility in our eyes to get into yellow and defend it for quite a decent amount of time.
Yep.
And then the question is, let's say if he has it after 14 days and he's got 16 seconds left on Pogacar and Roglic is like 2 seconds behind Pogacar. It's probably not going to be that close at that point, but you never know. What do you do then? Are you going to have Roglic probably not going to pace for Van Aert at any point? That's just unrealistic in my eyes. But you can definitely play with Van Aert. You can have Roglic just sit in the wheel of Pogacar and just toy around with Van Aert. But now we're looking solely at Jumbo. There's other teams in that. There's other teams in that race. And if you look at the UAE, who, for example, were planning to send McNulty to the Giro, and now there's speculation on a few areas on the internet already that he's not on the preliminary start list for the Giro for UAE. So does that mean that McNulty is making the same move as Vingegaard and is also going to the Tour de France? We don't know. We said it for months that he should, but is it happening? I'm not sure yet. And that would be curious if they have a rider that can also play around a bit in the Tour. And if every other team has so many options to like toy around with, then it's going to be a very tactical race, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
I think Basque Country showed Jumbo-Visma that their best option for putting Pogacar under pressure is not to attack him with Roglic at the end of stages, although that did
give
happen.
Him the jersey.
Yeah, give him the jersey, but I think the main point was having Jonas as a second threat and satellite riders is really important, and I think it'd be a massive advantage to be able to have Jonas attack. Maybe we've got a lot of descent finishes and stages like that. It's not all hard mountaintop finishes, watts per kilo test, unfortunately, for riders like Port. So descents, does Jumbo-Visma try and send Jonas on a descent or over a crest, and then Pogacar has to close, particularly if Wout is looking okay. That's the option that Vingegaard gives them. I think he's above, or should be above, Kuss in the GC pecking order for Jumbo-Visma. I actually have Jonas second. I have him over Wout van Aert for GC, to be honest. And I think that Kuss should ride 100% as domestique at the Tour de France. I think riding for his own race, he's not there yet. He's not experienced enough. It's not just about the TT, it's the climbs. When he's not riding for someone else, his pacing and tactics on the climbs has not been good this year. UAE Hafid was bad, blew himself up. Volta 2000 blew himself up following Valverde. And Yates, you can see the difference, how Yates protected his GC position. Kuss actually got beaten by Thomas and Co coming up behind. So I think he has to ride. He's better riding as a domestique, as a just a mountain guy for Roglic. That's my view on it. Let us know down below in the comments. It's a really interesting discussion. But obviously Jumbo-Visma making the right decision, taking Jonas to the Tour